I thought I'd record a little video introduction for how the Experiential Education Portfolio class works. I know that many of you have asked questions about it, and that makes sense because this is done very differently from probably any other class you've taken. So what the Experiential Education Portfolio is, or we could call it the Internship Portfolio, it's another way to complete the internship class when you aren't going to do the traditional 120 hours of field-related work at a specific site. So all of you are in this class because for one reason or another your advisor has okayed you to do an alternative type of completion for this internship class, and that's what the portfolio is. So you'll hear me call it Experiential Education Portfolio, just Portfolio, maybe Internship Portfolio, but I want to talk to you about how this class is going to work. So this class is largely self-directed. You and I will agree together on what activities you are going to do, and they will be somewhat different from student to student. So no two students in this class are going to be doing exactly the same thing, although there will be some assignments that every student will do. So the purpose will be to determine career-related activities that you actually will do in order to advance your career knowledge. So while you won't be at an internship site, you won't just be reading things and writing papers either. You'll actually be doing things that are career specific. So what I have up on the screen here, I hope, is pretty much like what you see when you log into the LMS for this class. So I would recommend that you read over these items. Some of the assignments in this class do have specific due dates, but most of your independent study work will be turned in as you complete it with only one deadline, and that's just before midnight on the last day of class. So you'll want to look at these assignment due dates because they are important. You will be doing a weekly progress update for me. Now this is very basic. It's just so I know you've done something about your portfolio this week. You will do 4 essays in the LMS, and here are their due dates: 1, 2, 3, 4. And everyone will do a resume and a LinkedIn profile, a final resume draft, a revised LinkedIn profile if you want to improve your grade from the first one. And here's the biggest part: portfolio projects that you and I agree together you will do. So this is the big picture outline for this class. Now I mentioned weekly updates. Here's the folder where you will submit those assignments, and a little bit of an overview of what a weekly update looks like. Again, this is no more than 1 minute to tell me what I did on my portfolio this week and what I plan to do next week. Don't miss any of these because this is how I mark you present for the class. You miss one, I mark you absent, and ultimately that could be a problem in your grade. Now, if you'll recall from the assignment due dates, everyone will do LinkedIn, everyone will do 4 LMS assignments, and everyone will do a resume. So these are separate sections in the LMS that you will use as you complete these projects. So for example, here's where you submit the assignment, and here are resources for creating or improving your LinkedIn profile. Here are your 4 LMS assignments, and they each have specific due dates, but this is where you'll submit them. Here's your resume writing assignment, your first draft, and your final revision, as well as plenty of resources to help you complete the assignment. But the part that most students are struggling with is right here in the portfolio overview. So again, the portfolio does have a few required components that we've just talked about, But the biggest part of this portfolio is going to be things that you and I decide together it makes sense for you to do. We've got to get each of you a learning agreement relatively soon. So let me just suggest you can read this portfolio quick start guide about setting up your learning agreement, and this will be helpful to you, but I'm here to help you by phone and by email as well. So let's take a look at the actual portfolio instructions and learning agreement. What you have here is an explanation of how the Experiential Education Portfolio project works. And remember, again, this is just a different way of completing an internship. We'd really rather have each of you do an on-ground internship, but we know that it's not necessarily practical. Let me expand this. Well, that expanding didn't work very well, did it? So let me pull this up a different way. So here's the document that explains how the portfolio works, and I want to draw your attention to two things. First of all, I beg your pardon, the learning agreement. That's page 2 of this document. And if you see here are the 4 required LMS assignments. They're worth a total of 200 points. Here's the LinkedIn profile worth 100 points, and the resume worth 100 points. You need to come up with 800 additional points of our activities you will do within this course to satisfy the portfolio, the internship portfolio requirement. So for example, you could do informational interviews or a job shadow. You could research professional associations, attend a meeting, go to a job fair, and so forth. You will not do all of these. You will choose 800 points worth of additional activities. Now, if you're wondering what each of these things are, the remaining part of the portfolio explains what each project involves. So you can read these over and decide which ones you want to do. If you need coaching, I'm happy to provide suggestions to you. So you will enter, how many will I do? Well, informational interview, you can do only up to 3, but let's suppose you decide to do 3, you would obtain 300 additional points for doing that. So that's how this agreement works. You tell me what you think you want to do, and I say yes, or we modify, but we come to an agreement about what it is we're going to do. So this is where you need to start, and then once we get that signed learning agreement, just make sure you meet all the required deadlines and that you're steadily working on your portfolio, giving me weekly updates. Please call me if you have questions.